Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And we have a lot to talk about this week.
We do.
Happy.
Yes. Because they have the star and the Dyson Sphere, which was predicted in Star Trek Next Generation.
But wait, no, that's not.
The episode Relics.
It is. But
with Scotty. It's the one with Scotty.
We should do like a separate science thing.
All right. If you want us to do a separate science thing, in the comments,
let us know.
Yeah.
Because that would be fun.
We will totally do it.
Right now we're doing video games. There's so much to talk about. We're not going to have
that show. The one that we actually have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do that
The
show.
one that we haven't launched. The one that we have launched. But, time is relative. So in a way, we have already launched the science show.
Right. And the Dyson Sphere was like, that's old news 1,486 years ago. So we're not current.
So I think it's really fitting for October, for Halloween and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th, the video game, has been announced. Not to be confused with the NES Friday the 13th video game.
Which, it's really bizarre that that's the only other one. Like, it's a really well-known property that has continued to pump out movies on a regular basis, but that's the only other Friday the 13th game.
Yeah, especially
as I know, right?
that I know of. Especially, there's been a drought in the past 7 or 8 years where you have flop Friday the 13th movies, but the series in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s was huge.
Yeah.
Up until Jason X, or arguably Jason Takes Manhattan. But you have a series that was really strong when video games were huge and becoming even bigger and bigger, and other games were grasping, other properties were grasping the concept of video games, and this one just didn't do it. But I'm excited about this one because of the asymmetrical gameplay involved.
It's supposed to be, gameplay is going to be like 7 versus 1. There's going to be way OP Jason, and then, the counselors are all going to have their own attributes and skills and whatever. And like, you can be the jock or the nerd, and like Evolve has their distinct classes, and you have to work together.
Yeah. And
your goal is to take down the thing. And so the monster's goal is to kind of hide and sneak around, and like, as Jason, you are the proactive member.
Exactly.
And I think that'll be really interesting.
It flips it on its head, and as Adam Sessler actually said this past week, it's not 1v7, it's 1v1v1v1v1v1v1.
Yeah.
You're all fighting against him. You can cooperate, but also the end goal isn't necessarily to kill Jason. The end goal is to just live.
That's one of the ways you can win, but you can also escape in various ways or get to a phone, call the police or whatever.
Yeah.
And because once you've called the police, Jason's taken care of.
Oh yeah, because
that always works.
Because and when the police come, he just goes, "Oh, sorry."
Oh, I did it.
Very excited.
Here's the knife.
Here's the knife and the machete and the axe and the weed whacker and the arrow for Kevin Bacon.
And it started off as a different game entirely. They just kind of built a game, and then it was attached to by whoever it is that has the rights.
Yeah, it's one of the original producer of Friday the 13th. Actually has the rights to be able to do this as a game. So it may be that he didn't want it. That may be the reason why he didn't have other video games. But he basically saw what they were doing and said, I absolutely love this. Just take it. Just take the right to do it. Which I think is really great, because from what I've seen of the game and the whole concept, it's very true to the Friday the 13th old school slasher film. And to be able to translate that into a game looks like they're going to do a pretty good job of it. I'm excited because I love slasher flicks. Another bit of news, which I couldn't figure out a segue to do this other than the fact that Friday the 13th films have better storylines than Call of Duty. It's the only segue.
But okay, so the main story on this is that Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is changing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
But one of the big ones that confuses us is they're introducing, because they've always had chapters, and once you've beaten all the chapters, and you can go back and play the ones that you like or whatever. And now whenever you start the game, they're just going to say, hey, here's the chapters, play them however. And that's really bizarre to me, because like as far as campaigns go, the Black Ops series is at the top as far as that's concerned. Like the first one and the big twist with what's his name, the Russian guy.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's a really, really cool thing. And so for them to do this in the same game that they're dropping the campaign from the old one, it just feels like the stories don't matter to them, and they're moving toward, okay, never mind what's the story.
Yeah.
I know that the multiplayer is way more popular, way more profitable, and like that's the core of their thing. But Call of Duty has amazing shooter mechanics. Like some of, if not the best shooter mechanics out there.
Yeah.
To have that and a really fantastic story is a great thing. And I wish that they would release just the single player part. Mm-hmm. If they release that every year for $25, I would buy it.
I would buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not going to pay full price for a 4 or 5 hour campaign, and especially since it looks like that's not important to them anymore.
Exactly, it's not important. And the previous news that we mentioned a couple weeks back, the fact that the story is not even going to be on the previous generation consoles, and then you find out you can play them in any order, which means they're going to be singly contained.
It's mission.
It's a mission.
Individual missions.
Individual mission you can do, and they don't have a cohesive overall story, which to me says
maybe it's super spoilery, and it's like, hey, there's a plot twist back there. I guess you don't care.
Yeah, I don't think they're that brilliant. It's just a growing trend when it comes to first-person shooters, for the most part, first-person shooters, saying, story doesn't matter, we're just going to have a bunch of multiplayer and eat it. Mm-hmm. And the other series that's doing that's irritating me is Battlefront.
Yep. And
the recent news on Battlefront this past week, it may have been about a week and a half ago, season pass for Battlefront is $50. $50.
And they won't tell us what's in it.
Now
$50.
Now if you buy the ultimate edition, so you have the deluxe, which has like a couple. I think it has 2 emotes that you don't get otherwise.
Yeah.
And you can get Han Solo's blaster pistol, and the blaster pistol you unlock. I think it's after the first or second level. And then if you want, you can drop $120 on the Ultimate Edition, which will have the season pass, and it will have like 4 emotes. Ooh. You're selling things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. You give this emote or that emote, that's all that matters. You basically, you can narrow it down to like 5 or 6 emotes, and they'll cover everything that you need. Everything after that is just extra.
Well,
and they're basically having people pay for emotes. They've already announced that they're going to be doing that. Yeah. So if you want a fist bump, you're going to pay for that. You want to do the Pee Wee Herman dance? So you can do it. And I'm not joking. That's on there. The Pee Wee Herman dance is on there. You can pay for it, or you can get the Ultimate Edition.
All right.
So basically, they're saying, here's all this crap that we want you to buy. But we're not going to give you a single-player story, even if you're paying $120.
Yeah, and
I don't understand that.
It's interesting because in some ways, and I'm sure that this is based on metrics. Mm-hmm. Like they would not be doing these kind of things if it didn't make business sense. But there's an element that a lot of us who have been playing for a very long time, and like Patrick and I and a lot of the people that we hang out with and talk to, we spend kind of ridiculous amounts of money on video games.
A little bit.
And the whole story element is something that we feel like is missing.
Yeah.
And deliberately so in most cases.
Yeah.
Going back to the microtransaction things, because they now have the Carlton dance.
In what, Destiny?
In Destiny,
I didn't even know you were going to...
Microtransactions are coming there too, and it's just these random things, and I don't know who's paying for them, but somebody is.
Somebody is, and that's not DLC.
No.
That's not DLC. No. DLC is... you should be paying for value. If you're paying $2 to do the Carlton dance on Destiny, you're not paying for value. You're paying for a little laugh that you probably have and nobody else has.
Well, but at the same time, if anything is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, we just don't think it's worth it, and we will not be spending money on this stuff. And so it's frustrating to see things like that, because what we want is story. We love stories and the way that they can be told in this medium, unlike any other medium. And then our next thing on here is Firewatch. It's coming out February 9th, on PS4, PC, and Mac. And that game looks fascinating. I'm really excited about Firewatch.
Speaking of what you can do with this medium. So
because you have walkie-talkie, and you are communicating with a person up in a tower somewhere, and you're wandering through as a forest ranger.
Fire something. Forest ranger, fire guy.
Right. Anyway, it's like a current day, only we can prevent forest fires, and we're wandering around and doing stuff, and it's really interesting. I don't entirely know what they're going to do with it, where the story's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you play a shooter, you know that the goal of the game is to shoot the bad guys and not die.
Yep.
And Firewatch, you don't get a weapon. It's just dialogue choices, and you just wander around and see what's in the world. Yeah. And exploration on that level is really exciting to me. Yeah. Give me that, and I will pay for it.
It can be really interesting, and it's just beautiful.
It's so pretty.
It really is. I'm looking forward to it. I didn't see how much it's gonna cost when it comes out. I think
they haven't said yet.
Yeah, I'm depending on what all is in it. I'm hoping, just for the accessibility reasons, I'm hoping this is around a $20 game, $15, $20 game. The reason being that that's a price point that it's a lot easier to justify jumping into something that's very different. Games like Journey and
Everybody's
others.
Gone to the Rapture.
Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Yeah.
You put that at the right price point, and you'll get a lot of people to play it and buy it that might not have bought it if it's more expensive.
Yeah.
That and I'm guessing that the actual overall story isn't going to take that long to complete.
Yeah.
And
it's probably going to be one of those things like when Ground Zeroes came out, and people were like, you can complete this game in 9 minutes and 24 seconds. It's like, yeah, but I have spent an hour and a half in here, and I still haven't beaten it because I'm just wandering around tagging people and choking them out and laying them on the floor and telling them, don't get up, I'll be back for you. And then they sit there for the next 45 minutes because that's how the mechanics. No. If you intimidate them and leave them there until an alarm sounds, they'll just hang out.
I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5 for I think I'm 50 hours in, and I haven't done that.
Yeah.
So
that was what I did.
Because my choices have been kill them, Fulton them, or if I leave them there, they're going to wake up, and then when they wake up...
In a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah. So I need to do that. I know that you can gain heroism by pointing the gun at them, and then they surrender, so I guess... Right. But then every time I did that, I then choked them out. So
yeah, you do that, and then tell them to get on the ground and stay there. Don't look up.
So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that shortly. That's cool because I didn't know that. It's just different ways you can play the game that I had no idea. But another bit of news that came out was the Lego Avengers game is going to cover the Infinity Stones story,
which is six, it's the Avengers films and 3 or 4 of the movies, just all in this one overall encompassing story, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's almost every Marvel movie has them in them. So, and right now we've seen 4 out of the 6 in Infinity Stones. I'll be really brief on this. They're the Infinity Gems or the Soul Gems. They're not very complicated to wrap your mind around, but you're dealing with memorizing essentially 6 different objects that do different things that have been stretched over the course of the past 10 years of films. Even nerds like me can confuse them. Okay, wait, which one is the power gem? Okay, was that the Tesseract? No, the Tesseract is the space gem. So, or space stone, as it were. So to be able to show this to kids, be able to convey that story and ingrain what the stones are and what they do, gets them excited about Phase 3 Marvel. Phase 3 of Marvel movies, as well as the Infinity Wars. This is all coming to a head, and you need to understand how powerful these things are individually. You bring them together, and they're being they're being wielded by Thanos, who is one of the most powerful beings in the universe. That's not good. So I'm really glad
I will be picking that up for sure because the Lego games are awesome because I really like it. The girls right now, I have 2 little 4-year-old girls and they're playing through Marvel superheroes. And so they're getting to see Black Widow and Hawkeye and Spider-Man and like all these heroes that they might not have otherwise known. And like those games can be challenging for us because, you know, we're looking to, you know, rescue Stan Lee and find all the glowing bits and collect true Jedi, true believer, true whatever. And like you can dig so deep into those games. But they're 4.
Yeah.
And they're probably about a third of the way through the game because they can beat it, and you know your guy explodes in a bunch of Lego pieces, and
they're very forgiving.
I really applaud game design like that, and so Lego games are ones that I will continue to pick up because they are making quality, if goofy, stories and gameplay mechanics that are forgiving as well as deep.
Yes.
And that's just an awesome thing.
It's a great balance because usually you find ones that are just really forgiving and they're not really challenging, but this one is you can play it and die a ton, but you're not going to get as many of the bits. You're not going to unlock as many things. So it has the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that. And I think it's developers saying, okay, we know who you are, we know what you want, so we'll give you multiple things. And I like that. Another thing about developers giving you what you want. I like when developers break the fourth wall.
Yes.
And they recently did that in Witcher 3.
So there's a couple of exploits that came to light within the first week or 2 the game was out, before the first major patch. There was a field that you could go into, and there's like a herd of cattle, and you could kill all the cattle, skin them, pelt them, whatever. I don't know. I don't go outside much. And get their skins, and then rest. The cows respawn, rinse and repeat. And then there was another thing with oysters. Yeah, step 3, profit.
Step 3, profit.
And there's another one with like oysters and pearls and something. There's a couple of really easy ways to get money, and so. Like they've, I'm not even entirely sure that they've taken those out.
I haven't heard that bit.
Okay, but anyway,
they did acknowledge them.
They acknowledged them, and they did it in a way that kind of pokes fun at the game, pokes fun at themselves, pokes fun at the player. They introduced the tax man, and it's this guy with this enormous ledger that comes up to you and starts interrogating girl about. Have you in the last year taken a bunch of pelts that were not yours? And girl can be like, I'm a witcher. I'm way, way above that stuff. Or you can respond and be like, yeah, I took them. What are you gonna do about it? And so depending on your answer, he can fine you up to 1,000 gold, which is a lot of gold.
Yeah.
And it's just this really, really entertaining thing that they just decided to throw in there. And so if you get cornered by a tax guy in The Witcher, just don't admit to anything because he will absolutely take your money, and that's hilarious.
You can't prove it otherwise. So just do that.
Yeah, you're the superhero of that world, so he's not gonna try to hit you or anything.
He's gonna argue with you.
Yeah, he's the tax man.
It's It's a really great. Well, I think it's really cool to see developers do that. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Square announcing about Deus Ex.
I'll take care of this.
This one?
Yes, because the Deus Ex thing is there was like a fan done remaster that Square actively promoted and said, hey, so Deus Ex is on sale on Steam, and then also there's this other thing that will bring this up to current standards and really make it pretty graphically. And that was kind of like a really cool thing that Square did, and we don't usually expect that kind of thing. And then the next day, they went back to what we expect from Square. And when you were if you were streaming Dragon Quest Heroes, you're not allowed to have the music on while you're streaming on Twitch, but you can on YouTube. Like it's this massive end user license agreement size thing detailing all the rules of what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And yes, they have a right to do that. It's their game, but streaming is okay and fair use. And it's just another example of there's just a couple of companies that don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
That if you put your product out there and you let people stream it, that's advertising for you. There are games that I have bought that I would not have bought otherwise because I watched somebody play it and I'm like, yeah, that looks like fun. And they're like, no, because if you sit here and watch it, you're not paying. I'm not going to do this rant again because I think we've already done that.
We have.
But
it's
just bizarre.
It's irritating to me because now the laws in America have been pretty much solidified in the past year of not only laws but also court cases, and court cases set precedents.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, that's all fair use. Everything that if you're critiquing, which Let's Plays and streaming counts as critiquing,
because you're adding your own.
Exactly. It can be also count as parody if you're someone like PewDiePie or someone who's playing the game just to add the things. It's completely covered in fair use. That includes any music that's in it. That is 100% included now. That is not something that people can contest anymore. And I've realized that I think most of the push is coming from companies outside of the United States. Mm-hmm. But if I play, which is irritating for the most part, but then again, I was playing Metal Gear, I've gotten copyright notices repeatedly because I put my stream from Twitch onto YouTube, and I've had sections muted on Twitch, and then on YouTube I've had copyright notices because I was playing She's Blinding Me with Science in the background, or I didn't even do it. As I walk in somewhere, Take On Me is playing in the background. So I get a copyright notice because of that. No, that's in the game, and it's fair use. I'm not streaming, I'm not playing in high quality the entire song for you to download. No, I'm playing a game and I'm discussing it. I'm adding my own value to it. So hopefully that'll come around. I'm just irritated.
Yeah, we have very mild feelings about this.
Very much. I don't have mild feelings about Nintendo now.
Have you ever had mild feelings about Nintendo?
Not usually.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not usually. Well, I have very happy, not mild feelings about Nintendo right now. So the NX. There's a rumor that came out about midway through last week where they said that the NX has a portable aspect to it, but it's also industry-leading technology, and
console plus handheld. They said that the dev kits are console plus handheld things, and that's
it's
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty much solidified by the end of the week. Wall Street Journal and multiple other people said, we have the dev kits. Yeah. The technology in it is great. It can actually compete, but it also has the mobile aspect, and everyone is kind of confused by that because anytime you're crunching something that small, then you're going to lose power right now, just in comparison. So
we still don't know a whole lot, and they've said multiple times they're not going to talk about it until 2016.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of grasping at straws and theorizing, but this is something that has been confirmed by multiple sources, and this is how this is going to roll out.
And my prediction on that is that it's going to be they're going to announce it about May. We'll see for around E3, around that. Nintendo does their own E3 thing.
Right.
They're going to announce it then. It's going to be available in November.
Okay.
2016.
I think it'll come out in October.
Ooh.
All right.
So we'll see who's right on that. But I think the mobile aspect of that, people are getting hung up and saying, well, it can't be that powerful if the mobile portion is. I think the mobile portion is separate.
Okay.
I think that most games, first party games, obviously they're going to do this easily. I think the mobile aspect of it, they're going to give developers the option to say, we also have this is the hardware involved on it, You can play it as a remote. If you take it elsewhere, you need to come up with your own little game
Solution, yeah.
And I think what you're going to have there is you're going to have essentially publishers. We get a lot of this right now, where you have a full game that comes out on PS4 and Xbox One, and then there's a mobile app that does something. And I think
Second
we're going
screen type stuff.
I think we're going to get something like that, and I think you're going to get little things like, for instance, if NX was already out and Metal Gear came out, you're doing all your missions, and then if you grab the handheld part, you can manage your staff resources and send them off and do missions, different things like that, where you're more micromanagement, and then when you come back, sync, go. I think that's pretty much what we're going to get out of it. At least I hope it's like that.
Yes. So next one, going back to Battlefront. DICE came out and said that that the Hoth mission was improperly balanced to give the Imperials an advantage.
I don't think they've seen Star Wars.
It.
I don't think they've seen Star
Wars. And I'm
like,
okay, no.
Yeah.
Like it can be done. I've seen Let's Plays where the Rebels win. It's a possibility, but it's hard.
Yes.
It's really, really hard. And that's fine. And there are going to be people who will, my opinion, there are people who would be challenged by something like that and be like, okay, let's all get together, let's figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And that, to me, seems like something that would be really fun. Yeah. And there's going to be people, like, I might join the Imperial side and be like, hey, maybe I can get an easy win. Or maybe I'm going to come up against a group of really well-trained rebels that just take me out or whatever. But I don't know. It's a weird balancing thing. I don't approve.
I think it's important for that mission, though. It needs to be imbalanced.
Yes.
That battle was imbalanced. You have the Imperials dropping all of these walkers all of a sudden, and the rebels have one
their
choice.
pew guns.
Yeah, they have
some turrets.
Yeah, the rebels have two things they can do: delay and get out.
Yeah,
because if you get out, you can die.
The entire mission was to slow the advance so that they could evacuate.
And then
their goal was not to defend and win.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't possible.
Exactly. And it was delayed to get all the people out, as many people as you can, and then you yourself get out. Mm-hmm. That was the entire point.
And that was like in Rogue Squadron, I think it was. If you were able to, like, you didn't necessarily have to eliminate all the enemies to win.
Yeah.
You just had to eliminate all but, like, I think the last 2 walkers.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, yell at me in the comments. But you had to slow the advance.
Yeah.
And if you reached a point where everybody escaped, then you could fly off the map and you were done.
Yes.
That's how that mission's supposed to go.
That's exactly how it's supposed to go. Exactly. So I'm hoping that they don't over nerf it, because Imperials need their advantage on that. Mm-hmm. Mentioned Metal Gear earlier.
This is poorly sorted. We didn't think this out very well.
Nope. So Metal Gear Online launched. I haven't played it. I have a tendency when it comes to online games to give it a bit. Let it kind of settle. Let them work out the kinks.
Let it have its launch hiccups.
I'm glad that I did, because essentially they've had quite a few hiccups, and Konami came out and apologized about it, which that was
which this is on the Metal Gear Solid Online.
Yes,
which they launched this week.
Yeah, which if you didn't know, Metal Gear Solid Online, if you have Metal Gear Solid 5, or if you buy Metal Gear Solid 5, that just comes with it. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto Online for Grand Theft Auto 5. You just get it. It's not a separate game. Some people are still confused about that. They're like, why can't I buy this? When does it come out? It's just,
You can, and you might already have it.
Yeah. So basically, they gave players money and XP bonuses and said, we're sorry. I think they only gave it to people who've accessed Metal Gear Online.
Right. Those who have participated.
Yeah, because I haven't.
Those who were actually inconvenienced by it.
So. Yeah. So I didn't get any of the bonuses. If I did and didn't notice, they were crazy insignificant. So sorry, I don't accept your apology, Konami. I don't accept your apology. But switching gears again, boom, boom, boom. So Battlefront had 9 million players.
9 million people accessed the beta. last week.
Access the beta. That is huge. This is what I said last week. I've never seen a beta do this. No. It shows how important streaming is. It shows how a big Star Wars is, and and I really liked that they not only did this, they let everyone stream it, because a lot of times when you get into betas, they may not let you stream it, and they may not let you talk about it. Yeah. And here they're very confident in their product, and they said, "Here, just have fun," and it's beautiful.
Yes, it is, and all the gifts.
It is all the gifts.
My favorite is the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, which last episode I put that in there for you guys. If this game had a campaign in it, I would be just an immediate buy. And if it was a campaign and that the season pass gave me more campaign, I'd probably buy the Ultimate Edition. I would drop the money on it. As it is, I may or may not pick it up at launch. I'll end up playing it, but I'm debating picking it up on launch. I want to play it. I may end up redboxing this. And that's really unfortunate. I want to give developers money. I want to give them. Well, but at the same time, I want to have things in my collection.
But at the same time, this is also one of those areas where, in order to communicate to the developer, I mean, we can tweet at them, send them emails. They get. I think they have a annual bonfire and they burn.
Yeah.
That's if you want to communicate with developers.
Yeah.
Do it with money that you do or do not give to them.
Yes, and if you give them money, then they are okay with that.
The whole microtransactions things. If nobody was buying these, this would not be a thing. Yeah. So if that's what you want, okay, cool, go buy it. But if you don't buy them, and they will go away if enough of us do it.
Yeah,
and
some developers understand that. Some developers understand. Oh, they're buying this. They appreciate it. They're not buying this. Some developers understand what the meaning behind it is. Some of them don't. And one of them that doesn't, apparently, is Square.
Yeah.
So basically Square said, if you want the new Dragon Quest titles to come out, then you need to buy...
Localize. If you want us to bring them to the U.S.
To North America, then you need to purchase the Dragon Quest Heroes action RPG.
Right, the Muso Destiny...
Yeah, so what they're saying is, if you want us to bring you future stuff, buy the thing you didn't like.
Well, not necessarily...
If you have not bought it yet, and it's out, and you already voted with your money, they're saying, well, I don't care. Buy it anyways.
Well, the problem is that they're trying to gauge interest.
Yeah.
The Dragon Quest games are excellent RPGs.
They really are.
This game is not an RPG. Like, they put more elements of it, but it's like a Samurai Warriors type of game, and you just go through and you slash, and then... you essentially go all Sauron on them, and you swing your weapon, and they just scatter. That's cool. That's not a dragon. These are two completely separate different demographics.
Yeah.
I happen to fall in both of them, but that's not the point. and so they're trying to gauge interest in one thing by talking about another thing, and I don't know how they can misunderstand their audience so much.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
They're misunderstanding it, and they're not understanding that if people didn't buy it, there's a reason people didn't buy it. It's not necessarily because it's Dragon Quest. Yeah. That doesn't mean that people don't like Dragon Quest. Perfect example: the Dragon Ball live-action movie bombed. It's not because Dragon Ball Z is horrible. It's not because
it's not because we didn't want Dragon Ball Z. We didn't want that Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. So what the studios have done after that came out was said, apparently people don't want a live-action Dragon Ball, and that's it. As opposed to actually saying, did we do something wrong?
Yeah. It's the equivalent of somebody comes with a bunch of toys and they toss one your way. You're like, I don't really want to play with it. So they take all their toys and go home.
Yeah, even though they had another toy back there that you were hoping that they were going to get.
Well, yeah.
But no.
I tweeted at them. This metaphor's falling apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave that where it falls.
So this week is actually a really important week, and it's important for one reason for our generation, and that is the day after this episode airs, is October 21st, 2015. And if it doesn't click for you, that is the date that Marty McFly comes to the future to rescue his kids.
Yeah.
The flying cars and hoverboards and all of that.
Self-lacing sneakers, all the cool stuff we don't have.
Yes.
But what we can get is a DeLorean in Rocket League.
Yes.
And I like those guys.
I really do.
Like, I plan to buy something just because they've given us so much fun stuff.
I'm going to be buying all their DLC.
Yeah, because they launched that game for free and it's like 5 million downloads. It continues to chart on the digital downloads as like a really high thing, and I don't. That's cool and crazy, and I don't think a lot of us saw that coming. It was like there's a RC game with cars and soccer and stuff.
If I hadn't played it,
it's and that's one of the ones. That's one of the ones because that was before we launched this thing, and so I didn't. I downloaded and looked at the games and went, Maybe. But then I saw somebody playing it, and I was like, oh my goodness, holy crap, that looks fun. And that's where that game came from.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's going to be people that try it out, but then Rocket League exploded on the streams, and a whole bunch of people saw it, and were like, I want to play that.
It's beautiful in its simplicity.
Yeah.
It is soccer with RC cars.
And some of the craziest, like, jumping, flipping, and just barely into the court.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm going to continue to support them for a lot of reasons. And they're going to get money off the DLC.
And the other thing is they trusted and communicate with the audience. Because, like, they have, like, the Team Fat sticker from the Kind of Funny guys and then the DeLorean. And they're speaking directly to us. And like, hey, we see stuff on forums. You want a DeLorean? Of course you want a DeLorean. Have a DeLorean. And that's just cool. I like them.
And one other thing that is an example of developers, because we're getting all the things now. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Developers giving you things that you want. Capcom's Resident Evil team is working on VR.
Yes, and that's I haven't gotten a chance to like test VR. Like I've done the little cardboard,
the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy and
yeah, I played that.
I played that, yeah.
So like VR is a thing that it's going to need to have a library in order to succeed. So for a big team like Capcom and a group that has the ability, I may not like the recent Resident Evil games as much as like the old school ones, but like they make some really pretty polished games.
Yes, they do.
And horror, in my opinion, is like the perfect genre for VR.
Yes.
And the fact that Capcom is willing to come out publicly and say, "Hey, we're going to do a thing with this."
Yeah.
I'm in, because if they can do that, I feel like this is kind of the last thing that indicates this time VR is going to work.
Yeah. So
I'm now a believer.
I think that what we're going to get here very soon, we're going to have a format war. It's not going to work unless we all get on the same format. And I think that that the developers of the hardware and software usually don't understand that. They go, well, this is good and it's better than yours, so I'm just going to... That never works. VHS and beta, one of them had to win. Blu-ray and HD DVD, one of them had to win. DVD and Laserdisc, one of those had to win. Developers don't want to develop for the Sony VR, the Microsoft VR, the Steam VR, Oculus, the Samsung. No, you're splitting it. What's going to happen is you're going to have certain developers that move to one, certain developers move to the other. At one point, the bottom's going to drop, and one of them is not going to be developed for as much, and one of them is going to take off.
And there's lots of people that are just going to lose everything on this.
Yeah. And the problem is that you have these, it's the hardware developers that are saying, no, look at me, as opposed to if in a dream scenario, Microsoft and Steam and Sony all got together and said, hey, let's have a peripheral that works on any of these.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, this generation of consoles is essentially like they're very much in a PC architecture. You'd be able to do that. It's USB. You'd be able to plug it, run with it, and then you'd have one headset that you'd have that would run on any of them.
I think the saving grace of this, and the thing that could save it and prevent this holocaust of developers, is how similar is the software. If it's relatively easy for them to port from one to the other, because like if it comes out on PS4, it's coming to Xbox One unless they've bought it out. But like the actual porting is something that, if it's easy enough, developers will be able to develop for multiple platforms, and everybody could win as long as they're willing to play nice.
That depends on the architecture similarities between the different systems. Because if that did happen, that would be great, because then I could buy a VR set of whichever console it is, whichever one I prefer, and then I don't have to buy one for the other, and I can still get those games. Now, obviously exclusives, I'm not saying, and then Halo should come to Sony. No! I'm just saying, you already have multi-platform games, you already have console exclusive games, and it's not going to help you anymore to say all of the VR has to be this. And no Sony VR can go to Microsoft. No. Now, Sony's going to have their own special first-party stuff that they do, or, well, in Sony's case, they may lease it out to From or one of those other developers that says, here's...
Bloodborne in VR. That sounds
because the thought occurred to me. So then to basically say, all right, make something exclusive for us. That's going to happen. But this generation... of consoles, the majority of what you're getting is multi-platform, and for them to say, "All right, VR, we're going to put 90% of it on everything." If they could do that, where I can use the same headgear, then I'm okay with that, because that stuff's going to be expensive. I don't know if you've seen the recent prices on that, and so like the Oculus, they were saying it's probably going to be around $600.
Yeah. I'm
not going to buy it at that price point. That's a console and a half.
Yep,
is what that is.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to buy a console and a half for something I may or may not play very often. That and VR is very VR is not conducive of playing in a group unless you had multiple headsets. So if I say, "Hey, I'm going to play such and such game," my wife or anyone else around me. Is just stuck. Now, if that means they can then use the TV, that's okay, but then I'm sitting in the room waiting around and yelling stuff. And it's the equivalent of having someone on a phone in your car who's having a conversation you're not a part of, and it's just distracting. So I can go on a lot of rants about this, but I'm hopeful about it. What I'm really hoping what will happen is that they'll have at least Microsoft and Sony will say, all right, let's come to a specific common grounds here and find a way for this to work. Because otherwise, one of them is going to lose a ton of money, the other is going to lose a good amount of money, and may win, or it may not.
Yeah, two units enter, one unit leaves.
Yeah, and one of them might not come out, and the one that leaves might not come out unscathed. So.
And this is going to be a very difficult thing to launch, because marketing VR. Yeah. Nobody's figured it out yet, because you can't put VR on a TV screen and sell it to me. You have to show it to me. Yeah. It needs to be at events. It needs to be at county fairs. It needs to be at Best Buy, where I can put it on and get head lice.
Yes,
and it's going to happen. That's how
they sold the N64
with head lice.
That's how they sold. Yes, with head lice. No, you put it in a store.
Yeah, I remember going into Toys R Us around my 16th birthday.
The N64 sitting there, right?
Yeah, and it was magnificent, and I wanted one so badly, and I didn't know how badly I wanted it until I sat there and played it.
Yeah,
and that's what they're going to need to do with this, and it's just going to be really confusing for a while, but with Capcom developing, I believe that this is a thing, and VR. This is people are always talking about, oh, this one is next gen. Where's our first next gen game or whatever? That VR is the next gen thing.
VR is next gen. PS4's current gen, Xbox One's current gen. This is the next gen. This is going to be, if they do it right, this will extend this console's lifespan and be the next thing. So I'm hopeful about it.
And we're one step closer to holodecks.
Yes.
And all the terrible, nasty things that people are going to do with holodecks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, nobody does.
No, I'm just gonna play. Pretend to be a detective in the 40s.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
And be really, really obsessed with a very specific 50-year time period. Gonna hang out there.
Yep, it's gonna be fun.
That's what holodecks are for.
Let us know what you think about holodecks and VR and all of that, and let us know. Did you miss anything in the news that you wanted to see or you wanted to hear, depending on how you take this medium? If you're listening, if you're talking, if you're listening to the podcast, go message us on Facebook. Because unfortunately podcasts don't have a way to do that yet. But so message us on Facebook and tell us what you think. Also send us viewer mail. We'll be answering more viewer mail, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Thank you for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads.
If you like what you've seen, subscribe here to get more.
And watch us play games really poorly, right over here.
If you're on a mobile, then click here. I for cards. We have cards now.
It's up there. And we're also on Facebook at Tweotch, and then Twitch at Tweotch Gaming.
Indeed. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Tweotch there, and I'm at Sabal.
We really like the subscribers, so come subscribe so you can see us more and do stuff with us. Indeed. All the time. You think kids tweet on the playgrounds nowadays?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know what kids do.